So here I have the business letter in Google Docs. Now you could use Microsoft Word, you could even use WordPad. Um, these days I would probably just open up a Google Doc and start typing it. If something required very complicated formatting, I would maybe do it in Word and upload it, but for a letter that's mostly text, I would just start typing. So uh, some things. You want to list your full address so they can contact back. I know they're not going to mail it to you, but we still do that as a bit of a formality. And part of this type of business letter communication is all kinds of professional communication. You may have to email your teacher, and you'd want to err on the side of being professional. You wouldn't say, Mr. Hobson, hey yo, I missed class, send me the notes. You'd want to be extremely polite, and so that Mr. Hobson would help you out. So we start off, this particular piece of format is that an etiquette is you put your full address, your name. If you don't want to put your real address, put the school's address, and then you have a space, you have the date, another space, and then the person that the letter is for. And again, it would be their name, their title, their company, and find out the exact address the letter to someone specifically. And we would have another space, the salutation. Now this could go in your email to Mr. Hobson about missing class. So you could say, Dear Mr. Hobson, and again, that would be very, very polite. So we have a dear as our salutation, the person's title, Mr. Dorsey, that's the president of Twitter, and then you have a comma and then a space. So what you want to do in your business letter is get to the point quickly. There's no time for long, complicated sentences. Just say why you're writing. Start with why. So when I wrote this example, they had just increased the amount of characters in Twitter from 140 to 240. So I come out and say, thank you for making the new 280 character limit. New idea means a new paragraph. So I then go on to say why it's a great move. And then another space, and then in my third paragraph, I can add on a different idea. Now I was a little informal here because I was typing up this example quickly, but I probably would not throw that into a real business letter if I were looking for a job. But as you can see, I'm being a little whimsical for the purposes of this example. And then we have a space, the complimentary closing, sincerely, yours truly, things like that. Regards would be a little more informal. I put 2 lines here because you would, in the past, have printed these letters and signed them, so a space for a signature. But if I'm really tight on space, I just do 1, and then again, your name. And I always just throw in my contact information here because I understand these days I'm going to receive a phone call back, I'm going to receive an email back, so I just put, I want to make sure I get a response. If I'm applying to a job, if I'm asking for a favor, I figure it's okay to throw that in. You don't have to, but that's why it's in there. And so the formatting. So make sure you take the time to format it correctly. I hit Control-A to select all of the text. And then you want to pick a common font like Times New Roman, like Arial, Calibri. Nothing too fancy. Easy font, 12, using this formatting bar, black color. Keep it simple, basic formatting. There's other occasions when you can be more extravagant. So again, I'm going to hit Control-A to select everything, or I could drag and drop my mouse. I'm going to make sure it's all left justified, and I'm going to look up here and make sure that it's all justified so that it's all in a nice line that's going to follow. So we use this block formatting where it's all left justified. I'm going to look at the line spacing. Under line spacing, I'm going to set it to single. The 1.1, that's okay, you could get away with that, but these days when I mail someone a letter, I tend to single space it. It's no time for the essay style two line spaces. Don't have any, extraneous formatting. If you're proofreading this and you notice that something's highlighted, say, and I've received documents where it's been highlighted right away. You have to address the red, which is a typo. I right click on it, I see the correct suggestion, and the blue grammatical errors. And so that's pretty much it. It's very, very basic. I always give my file names an official name, so I might end up sending this letter as an attachment. I would go ahead and put my name in the attachment, and I'd be very, very formal. I would never send someone an attachment that said untitled document. I'd make it exactly clear what it is. So now it's up to you to write your own business letter. So you're going to make sure that you follow the format strictly. That's one criteria. The formatting that was discussed here, and you can be in Word, it can be in Google Docs, but the key idea is the formatting. Secondly, you're going to find an issue that concerns you, something you believe that is a problem, that's something that's unfair that you want to see addressed. You're going to write your letter where you address it to a specific person. Find out who's in charge of whatever the problem is, who's the city councilor, who's the principal, who is the boss of that company, and address the letter to them. You're going to start off by saying why you're writing the letter, what the problem is, why it's important. In the body of the letter, you could include some information, some relevant and reliable research explaining how severe the problem is. And then lastly, propose a solution. So one example that I received that was memorable was a letter to the president of the Blue Jays about not having enough girls' baseball jerseys in the store, and proposing that the amount of jerseys for boys and girls be equal so that anyone can go to a Blue Jays game and purchase a jersey or a t-shirt if they want. And they explained why it would encourage more women to attend the games, and explain how also it would show how that the company was very, very forward thinking. So they stated the issue clearly, they explained why it would help, and they proposed a solution. And just before you send it in, I would encourage you to proofread carefully, or even use the blue button in the top right to share with a friend and get their suggestions. So let's say someone had shared it with me, and I was, I had noticed there was a mistake. I would then select the area, and you can see this little thought bubbles coming up, and I would say needs a blank line and hit comment. They would get an piece of advice to address that. Then they would click resolve. So let them make the changes, but you can help your friend out by proofreading, and hopefully you create a memorable and successful business letter.